I'm Tom, bike packer, ultra racer and all-round general cycling fanatic. Over the last year I've put a lot of kit through its paces, and in this video I'm going to share with you my top 10 game-changing pieces of bikepacking equipment. So get ready to find out which bits of kit might improve your bikepacking experience or your ultra racing performance. In at number 10 is this Anker 737 power bank. This power bank packs a massive 24,000 milliamp hours, which is enough power to keep you and your equipment going for several days. In my opinion, it pretty much negates the need for a dynamo unless you're going somewhere really remote. And it certainly was the case when I did the Atlas Mountain race earlier this year. When I didn't use a dynamo, I just used this power bank. As well as having a huge capacity to charge all your electrical gear several times over, it has a handy screen on the front which tells you how charged the power bank is, and also other bits of handy information when you're charging the power bank itself or charging your equipment from the power bank, including the temperature, which is a bit random, but it's always nice to know what the temperature is. Because of the capacity and the size of this battery, it can even charge my powerful exposure lights. I'm going to talk about my exposure light in a minute, which does have a massive battery on its own and can keep me going for several days. But you add this in and you can essentially go for about a week of riding without having to stop to find power anywhere. But what truly makes this battery awesome is its ability to be fully recharged in less than an hour. So when you stop at a cafe, you can ask the owner if you can quickly plug it in while you enjoy your coffee and perhaps a nice hot meal. When you finish, your Anker battery will be fully recharged, so you can head back off into the wilderness and not have to worry about charging your equipment for at least a couple of days. Which is why I think this is a great replacement or an alternative to a dynamo front wheel. And in terms of cost, and in comparison to dynamo wheel, this is a bargain. At the moment you can pick it up for £80 on Amazon. In at number 9 are these Spatz burner arm and leg warmers. These have been a real game changer for me and are a great addition to your kit for your multi-day trips or overnight escapades. The leg warmers literally turn your bib shorts into full winter bib tights, coming up really high on your leg, blocking out any wind and keeping you warm through the night. The same goes for the arm warmers. As you can see, they come up really high on the arm, giving you lots of protection from wind chill. And paired with a gilet, they're a great bit of equipment to support your riding through the night or if those events turn a bit chilly. They're very stretchy, and if you can see on here, there are different panels all the way across both the leg and arm warmers, some of which apparently boost aero performance and other bits enable flexibility at joints, such as at your knee. And for good old British weather, or my general luck on bikepacking trips, they dry out really easy once they get wet. So despite appearing quite thick and warm, you haven't got to worry about waiting hours and hours for them to dry out if they do get wet in the rain. Compared to the amount of warmth they provide, they roll up really small, taking up hardly any space on your bike. They're really light, and as you can see, that's the arm warmers and that's the leg warmers. I've used a lot of arm and leg warmers over my time cycling, but I've never had a pair that provides that much warmth and comfort. I even used them during the Atlas Mountain race to keep the sun off my arms and legs when it was really hot during the day, so they are a truly really versatile piece of equipment. The leg warmers cost £50 and the arm warmers cost £40, so probably a little bit more than you might usually spend on a pair of leg and arm warmers. But these have lasted really well considering the amount of mileage they've done and the conditions they've been through, and I'll happily buy them again if they wear out. In at number 8 is the big daddy of bike lights, the Exposure 6-pack. Probably the closest I'll ever be to having a 6-pack. This light is an absolute beast, delivering over 5,000 lumens, turning night into day. But what makes this a real game changer for me is the ability to run it on a lower setting and have enough battery life to keep you going for 36 hours. That means you can keep riding for several days through the night non-stop without having to stop to recharge. And if you sleep for half the night, that'll probably keep you going for 6 whole nights. The light's been super solid, I've had no issues with it. I mount it to my bars and I can use a handy remote control to turn it off and on, which is really helpful when you're riding at night and entering a more technical area and then want to reduce the brightness again when you're perhaps riding uphill or back on the road to conserve battery life. And as mentioned, I can charge it using the Anker power bank, which extends its life to an insane 72 hours or something like that, which is enough range for some pretty serious bike packing trips and ultra races. This does however come at a cost. If you buy one of these new at the moment, the RRP is £450. But being a bit of a bargain hunter, I can assure you I did not pay full price for this light. I picked it up in a sale. I think I still paid quite a lot of money, but it was probably nearer £2.50, something like that. So if you are in the market for an absolute beast of a light, keep an eye out for any discounts or sales on the Exposure 6-pack. At number 7, after all that fancy tech, it's back to basics with this eye mask. When you're doing an ultra race, you're usually pushing the boundaries of what your body can do. You're minimising sleep to keep moving forward. You want to maximise the quality of that sleep. And that's where an eye mask can come in really handy. And even if you're not absolutely riding yourself into the ground and you're having a lovely bike packing trip over a few days, the benefits of a good night's sleep are huge both for your mental and physical health, enabling you to squeeze even more enjoyment out of that trip. They also come in handy if you're sleeping somewhere random. Perhaps you've hauled up for the night in a bus stop and there's a street light flickering, which is really annoying. You can just pull that eye mask down, you can block the world out and have a lovely night's sleep. Well, as lovely as you can in a bus stop. Or perhaps you've ridden through the night and you've made it through to the next day, but you're feeling pretty naff. Put your eye mask on, block out that daylight and have a power nap in a field somewhere. So there you are, the good old sleeping mask that offers a lot of benefits to bike packers and ultra racers for only a couple of pounds. At number 6, TailFin Top Tube Bags. Now they're so good, I've bought one for all my bikes, and this has been a really amazing piece of kit. Now in the past I've had top tube bags of all varieties. Lots of them have wobbled about on the bar, hitting your knees, or have not been fully waterproof and water's got in and damaged electronics. But this thing is absolutely solid. This one is the massive 1.5 litre mountain bike top tube bag, and it's the flip top variety, which is really handy for getting in and grabbing snacks when you're on the move. And it has great capacity for all sorts of bits and bobs when you're out on your bike packing trip or during your ultra race. One of the best features for me is how waterproof this is. Even the flip top variety, it has been through some very atrocious conditions, lots of heavy rain for hours upon end, and nothing inside has ever got wet. Which when you're on a multi-day bike packing trip, keeping things like your power bank, which you're reliant on for keeping your navigation equipment working or your phone charged, is essential. The last thing you want is stuff like this getting wet and not working when you really need it. And in terms of charging your equipment, at the front there's a handy little port that you can stick a wire through and run up to your Garmin or your phone, so you can still keep the battery dry whilst charging your equipment. With these top tube bags, you have the option of bolting them directly onto your top tube if you have mounts, or you can use these TailFin straps which come with the top tube bags to strap it to your top tube, and once it's on there it's super secure. It doesn't wobble about like some other top tube bags, hitting your knee, etc. Once on, this thing stays put. These aren't the cheapest top tube bags, I think this one's about £65, but it served me really well. This one went to the Atlas Mountain Race, and I think it also did Dorset Divide and Great British Escapades. You can see it's pretty muddy, it's had a lot of use, but there's no real signs of wear and tear, which I think equates to great value for money. Before we get into my top 5, if you're finding my videos useful or my adventures enjoyable, please do consider liking and subscribing for more. And number 5 is this Sole Emergency Bivvy Bag. If you want to go fast and light, one way to reducing weight is cutting down on your sleep equipment. I've done a couple of events where I've only taken a lightweight sleeping bag and this emergency bivvy bag for shelter. My aim on these was to only sleep for an hour or two, or to not sleep at all and just have this at hand in case of an emergency. It weighs about 100 grams and as you can see is super small, taking up hardly any room in your bike packing bag compared to a tent or a traditional bivvy bag. It's got a little whistle in case things go really wrong, but it packs a real punch, helping to retain body heat when you're having a quick, short, sharp power nap. Just don't expect it to be a super comfortable night's sleep, but that's not what it's about. It's about speed, efficiency, and not carrying too much weight. As you can see, essentially it is a big foil bag. Now they do make some slightly more robust options which I might explore for next year for perhaps a slightly more comfortable night, but this is another reasonably priced item at £20. Pure luxury. If you're out bike packing, you might be scared that you might encounter some beasts like a bear, a pack of wolves, or perhaps a vicious dog. But what I have a real hatred for is ticks. So at number 4 is this handy little tick remover. So as I say, I have a general hatred for ticks, and living on the south coast of England, there are ticks absolutely everywhere. After a long day's bike packing and you're looking for a cosy night in the woods somewhere, the thought of a few ticks latching on during the night might not be at the forefront of your mind. Even riding through areas with long grass, those ticks can latch on, as they did to me at the Dorset Divide. I ended up with 6 ticks on me after that event. Whilst these beasts might be pretty small, some of them barely visible to the naked eye, they can spread Lyme disease, and trust me, you don't want that. Removing a tick properly and as quickly as you can is one of the best ways of preventing contraction of Lyme disease. So whenever I'm on a bikepacking trip, I carry these tweezers with me for peace of mind, and they only cost me a couple of pounds. Just keep an eye out for any symptoms of Lyme disease afterwards and seek medical advice if you do notice any. There's nothing more irritating than a wet charge port on your phone, be it from heavy rain or sweat. If your phone runs out of battery and you can't recharge it, it has the potential to make things a lot more difficult for you, not least the ability to call for help in case of an emergency. And if you're like me, you've probably experienced the frustration of trying to dry a charge port out to enable you to charge your phone, which when you're camping out in the woods can be pretty difficult. So at number 3 is this MagSafe charger. With this, there's no need to worry if your charge port is wet. You simply plug it into your power source, probably your power bank, and this bit sticks onto the back of your phone, charging it without having to worry about that charge port. It takes a little longer to charge than a traditional wire, but provides some certainty that you are going to be able to charge your phone even on the wettest of days. Just try and keep the MagSafe charger itself dry, perhaps stick it in that TailFin Top Tube Bag whilst you're using it. This Anker one cost me about £12, and so far it's survived quite a few trips, including the Atlas Mountain Race. So a fairly robust bit of equipment that didn't cost a lot of money, but again provides a lot of comfort knowing you're going to be able to charge your phone when it runs out of battery. In at number 2 are these Photochromic Lenses. As you can see at the moment, they're fairly clear because I'm indoors, but if I go outside into bright sunlight, which isn't really that bright today, they will darken, protecting your eyes from the sun. Up until this year, I would faff about during trips and at events, changing the lenses in my glasses from traditional sunglass lenses to clear lenses when it got to night time, and then changing them back from clear lenses to sunglass lenses when the sun came up. So this year I bought these photochromic lenses for my existing glasses to reduce some time I spend faffing around changing lenses in the evening and during the morning. As a sort of side benefit to this, there's less chance of damaging your sunglasses whilst opening them up and trying to put a lens in, or scratching the lenses when you're changing them, and of course, if you're like me, losing the lens somewhere in your bikepacking gear or leaving them behind on a fence somewhere when you stop to change them. The one slight disadvantage of a photochromatic lens, it obviously changes when the sun starts to go down, so the sun can still be quite bright and low on the horizon and shining in your eyes, but the lens is clear. So for a small part of the day it can make seeing where you're going slightly harder. I paid about £50 for this photochromatic lens, which I put in my existing pair of Oakley sunglasses, so you don't have to buy a whole new set of sunglasses to benefit from photochromatic lenses if your existing sunglasses have a removable lens already. And at number 1 is alternative grips for your handlebars. If you've ever experienced numb or tingling hands on a long distance bike trip, you know just how frustrating and potentially dangerous it can be. Whilst doing the Pan-Celtic race, I pretty much lost all strength and control in my left hand, to the point that I couldn't actually change gear. This year, to combat that, I've added some alternative grips to my bike to be able to vary my hand position on the handlebars and relieve some pressure from my hands. On the mountain bike, I've added some SQ Labs inner bar ends, giving me an alternative hand position to hold the bars. These are really comfortable and apparently are slightly more aero. On my gravel/road bike, I've added some Redshift cruise control grips, which are installed underneath the bar tape and provide a wider base for your hands, relieving some pressure on the nerves which go through your hands, providing comfort and helping prevent damage to your nerves. Both these grips have helped massively with my hand issues of last year, and fingers crossed this year I haven't experienced the same problems. Each grip costs about £30, so a reasonably priced investment to save your hands from both short-term annoyances and long-term nerve damage. So there it is, my top 10 game-changing pieces of bikepacking equipment from 2024. If you have any questions about this kit, experiences of it, or suggestions for some other game-changing bits of kit I should look at, please do share them below. I hope you found this video useful in considering your bikepacking and ultra race setup. All that's left to say is thanks for watching. Oh, I just had a cheeky 40-minute lay down in this church.